Hey everyone, this is Two Drink Minimum, a podcast where we tackle various life topics over 2 beers at minimum. We're your hosts. I'm Janet.
And I'm Edwin Garcia.
And today we are talking about the topic of invest in yourself. But before we do that and jump into our topic, we're going to pop open our beers and just kind of mention what we are drinking.
What we got here. Let's make sure we get the podcast world can hear our beers. Oh.
Those of you who checked out our intro episode know that Edwin has a hard time opening beers, but we are actually recording this on the same day.
I'm going to start opening my beers on Facebook Live just to hold myself accountable and get better at it. I think that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to go live every time I open my beers at home, so you guys can be very disturbed by the frequency and the erratic times. Like now, which is 3:51, but hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, you know?
It honestly feels like it's 6:45 right now, but that's because I've been up since 5:30
I'm a freelancer, so
in the
time
morning.
is just a number, you know? It's not even like, I mean, at 9:30, what you should be doing and what I am doing
That's what I thought about going on the military clock, but Edwin thought it was too head-ass.
It's too head-ass. Only military people and serial killers, sometimes there's intersectionality there in that little Venn diagram of go by military time. You have to be crazy
I feel like
or
like
in
next
the military.
Level. I feel like that's what's going to take me to the next level of greatness. Military time.
Well,
but I don't know. But I also feel like it'll ruin even further the concept of time that I already have, which has already kind of worked. But anyway,
this is not the time podcast. This is the Invest in Yourself, not sponsored by Lagunitas.
Which should be sponsored by Lagunitas. Yeah.
Lagunitas. This is episode 1, ladies and gentlemen, and we are drinking Lagunitas IPA. We've talked about it before in episode 0. If you haven't checked out episode 0, well, I don't know, think about it. Do you really want to? You just want to jump in? If you want to just jump in, let's just go here. If you want to go to episode 0 and kind of hear a little bit more about Lagunitas and what this podcast is about in a little bit of depth, go there. If not, you're like, yo, I'm just in for it. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going into it. Then just go into it, baby, and let's invest in yourself, in ourselves. So, what does it mean? Invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself. So, generally what we're talking about is this idea of investing as in putting, whether that's time or money, into who you are as a person. And what that means can be a lot of different things for a lot of different people. Typically, I think we like to kind of think about it as like the personal and the like career-wise, with personal being anything related to like your social life and also like the maintenance of your own like body and like spirit, to some extent, and then career being like the goal or career driven stuff. So those are kind of the two facets that we sort of break it into, but generally to invest in yourself just means to say I'm willing to put the time, money, and energy into helping better myself as a person. And once again, that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So to me, that's what like the investors in yourself thing means. I know it's something that we've kind of like pushed ourselves to do. We'll kind of get more into that a little bit later. But before we jump into like the, I guess, nitty gritty of it, what would you say your definition of invest in yourself is?
Yeah,
or
so I'm gonna
try explanation of the topic.
To keep it simple. Thank you.
Earlier, I was like, so we're gonna define this, right? And Edwin's like, no. But we're gonna talk about what it means.
So let's talk
and
about
I was like, what? That's why we laughed. But yeah,
break it down like a fraction for everybody here. Invest in yourself. It's pretty simple. It just means that you need to put yourself first and actually concentrated, intentional improvement on yourself. And like Janet just said, that can be very different, and it can be, you can invest in yourself in a lot of different ways. Whether that is personal, investing in yourself and taking care of your hygiene, investing in yourself, joining a gym, and actually going to said gym on a consistent basis that is tangible and visible. Whether that's, going back to school and getting education, whether that's taking some more courses, enhancing yourself in those ways. And I think we're going to talk about, the point of it's kind of to talk about the ways we have invested in ourselves and will continue to invest in ourselves, hopefully inspiring you to invest in yourself, and hopefully getting a conversation started about, hey, what does investing in ourselves mean? What does it look like? So that's a short explanation of what investing in yourself means to me. And yeah, I'll kick it back to Janet, and I'd love to hear some of her personal ways she's invested in herself in the past, present, and maybe even future if you feel like it.
Yeah, and I think even to an extent, like the challenges of investing in yourself as well, because like even though and I talk about this all the time with just like friends and family, 'cause sometimes I feel like when I'm kind of sharing things that have been successful for me, or like even doling out advice, it can seem kind of like, oh, like I have it together or something. And I think I'm doing like pretty well at the things I try to do, but I think there's definitely room for improvement. And there's times where it does actually feel hard for me. Just because I do it doesn't mean it's not challenging. So the first thing I think of for personally investing in yourself is I mentioned in episode 0 that I do distance running. Edwin also does distance running. He's training for the marathon right now. So the most recent way I can remember investing in myself on a personal level is buying new running shoes. So for me personally, like I said, I run, and it's something I do really often, and I'm like one of my big careers, one of my big goals is to do 30 races in my 20s. So like I'm running pretty frequently, and I was listening to there's another podcast that both me and Edwin listen to called Rogue Running. Is the name of the podcast?
Yes, Rogue Running. Yeah, great podcast only for the either super intense runner or the wannabe, which is me, super intense runner, where I pretend that I'm super intense. But if you're not literally a long distance runner, if you run a half marathon, you probably shouldn't listen to it unless you're super extreme 5K, 10K. But it's a great podcast if you're a running aficionado and just want to be in the...
kind of interesting maybe seeing what does that mindset look like, even if you're maybe just starting out and want to check it out, but it's all about running. And one thing they mentioned, I think it was made during the Pet Peeves episode or something like that, but they were like...
I don't know if it's the Pet Peeves, because I was seen like 8 times.
Yeah.
And they only did 5
And
comments.
they were like, I can't believe there's people out there running for... And the thing is, I can... when I say distance running, I can run pretty far. The farthest I've ever ran was like, I guess 15 miles if you count the Polar Dash, right? The infamous failure of a Polar Dash. But like,
I'm past the Polar Dash.
13, 15 miles.
I ran 18 and I'm running 16 on Sunday.
Right. So like, I can run pretty far, and that'll take me like an hour and a half, maybe more, depending or whatever. And they're like, there are people out there running for like an hour, and they have these old shoes, and it's like, you've never bought... It's like, why don't you just... And running shoes can be as cheap as like...
$50.
$40-$50 to as expensive as like $120. Like $120, $130 is the highest expensive running shoe you'll find.
That's not true.
On the mainstream market. I think
you can still find 200 ones.
I haven't seen one that's 200.
It's rare, but they're there. 180, 150.
I haven't seen that. I've seen like 130, 150 maybe max. Anyway, the point is...
Google it.
Yeah, go ahead. So that's like the highest they go. And like, I buy plenty of things that cost like a good amount of money. Like a new video game will cost like $60, And I just like will put off like actually buying like new running shoes because it's expensive, and it's not exactly like an exciting thing to buy, even though I do like running. So like I just put that off for like the longest time, and then it kind of took that podcast calling me out to be like, well, yeah, I need. But for me personally, when I did it, I was like, you know what, they're right, and it has been. And I knew before that podcast episode that I need to buy new shoes, but I just had kind of been putting it off, and I just finally decided to like spend the money and do that so that I can like be a better runner and kind of like put my money where like my mindset already is, and kind of just commit and do something that's going to be good for me in trying to achieve this goal.
The Brooks Levitate 2's on. I just Googled it and let Google take the ad click. It's 150. So yeah, they definitely can go up to 2. I'm sure if that's just the first one I Googled, it's already at 150. That doesn't mean that that's like the norm. And men's shoes are generally more expensive than women's shoes, I believe. Especially, like, just in general, our clothes are kind of more expensive for some reason.
I think with running shoes, it's probably about even, though.
Yeah, so that was 150, and I didn't even look up the newest Nike, whatever, new technology they're trying to say will make me run better, which is not true. So, yeah, but I think the problem with... It's not really true.
It's not true.
It's, the issue, the problem with investing in yourself, the reason why we even have to have it, right, is it's hard because you're always the last person. Even if you're super selfish... The first person is ComEd, the landlord, the gas company. Inside joke there. You always are last. You always like if you're an adult and you got like kids and stuff, then like your kids come first. You got to make sure your house is in order. Even if you're behind, you're not trying to be behind. You're hustling to be like, how can I fix this? Blah blah blah. I need to get a loan. I'm using credit cards to do this. I gotta buy groceries for the kid. I gotta pay this. I'm asking my friend to borrow $100 because my tire blew out. Like you're always last. Everything else comes first. All the other responsibilities you definitely have. As an adult, you have rent, you have light, you have gas, you probably have water. Everything else, it depends. Some people have student loans, some people don't. Some people have credit cards, some people don't. That's going to vary, but those are like the core ones, and then you probably have extra ones, and ones that I don't even know about, right? You might have some health insurance bills or cell phone payments, and like the list gets big, right? So the first thing to cut off is you, because you're like, well, I can't do that. I need to pay my phone bill. Are you telling me not to pay my phone bill? I can't do that. You tell me not to have a phone now because I need, these Brooks shoes? No, I can't do that. It's irresponsible to invest in myself because I have to pay these bills.
Yeah.
So we're always last, and that makes it hard because who holds you accountable for investing in yourself? Nobody. No one's going to really, unless you have someone like me around, no one's going to kick you in the butt and be like, hey, you need to do this.
But even with you, it's like, it's only if, that also involves some accountability on other people too, because like, and we mentioned this episode 0, like we have like monthly meetings about our goals. Like,
right.
You won't know I'm not doing something unless I'm sharing with you that, unless you like see it or something, which is like, I guess that can happen too, right? We can notice things in each other, but like, I would still have to make you aware of it.
Well, what I mean by me is someone who will say it if they do see it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have them, right? They're adults. If you're an adult and you're in like a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend thing, if that other person doesn't see it or isn't like paying attention to you like that, or if you don't even have that person, if you're a single adult with no like roommates or whatever, who's telling you anything, right? You're grown, and that's what people will say, right? The excuse is always like, oh, I'm grown, or blah blah blah, or I'm doing that. So it's very easy to not have to invest in yourself, not have anyone notice that you need to invest in yourself, and not invest in yourself because
I think it's easy to find a way out of investing in yourself.
It's an easy way to. It's a non-necessity. Like the light bill is a necessity. Your lights will get off, and that's a huge problem. And even if that happens to you, you're still focused on trying to get the lights on, and you maybe aren't focused on trying to get the money you need for your running shoes because you're like, well, there's no hole in these. I guess these are fine. And you don't say that for other things because you're not given the option. It's like, no, you have to pay the rent.
The big like eye opener for me, like that I've had this happen like multiple times in my life already, and I just like, I'm really young. I'm 24. I didn't mention that last episode, but Edwin's 6 years older than me. He's 30.
We don't have to announce that every episode, but okay.
Edwin's 30. But the thing for me too that like made me realize that I was like whack when it came to investing in myself was when, and I'm pretty sure everyone listening probably has had at least a moment like this. I know, Edwin, you've had like a million, right? Of like where, because you're older than me.
Where like older?
6
What's
years.
My age?
It's 30.
Oh my god!
But like where you have something come up, like some type of financial emergency. It might be like, I know you recently had like your wisdom teeth removed. It could be like, it could be anything. It was like a bill I didn't know I had, or interest, or I missed a payment. Whatever it happens, like a bill will pop up that you weren't expecting. But since it's like a bill and it's something from like kind of like a higher power of higher importance automatically, somehow I always scrape together the money. Whether it's digging into a savings account, whether it's asking someone for help, whether it's even just like moving stuff around and like living more frugally than you like maybe are comfortable living, but like since you have to do it, like I feel like, I have to pay this bill, I have to get this thing done, someone's tire blew out, I have to kind of help them out, or something happened to me and I need to do whatever. I always make it happen. And the thing that I get angry about whenever a situation like that comes up is I realize, wow, so when push comes to shove, I can find the extra $100 or $200 or more sometimes when it's something that like I feel like I really need to pay. But when it comes to myself, whether that's, the running shoes or like for me, buying like clothes, like a wardrobe, like an extra wardrobe has been like a forever struggle, like, just a general like outfit wardrobe, like shoes and outside clothes and stuff like that. Like that always just feels like so unnecessary. But like when I have to do it, I always find the money. And then I get upset because I'm like, and that's kind of what made me realize the whole invest in yourself thing was a problem, because I'm like, if I need to do it, I'll find it. But when it's just for me, I'm kind of like, well, I don't have it. But, like, I have it for, like, the gas company or whatever, whoever comes at me or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Parking tickets, right? Or, like, random stuff. Like, you'll figure out a way. But when it's for you, like, it's only when it's financially convenient.
Right, which is
or time convenient.
Which is almost never, because for you to have such a surplus that you're like, $200 is just burning in my pocket. I mean, I really hope the person listening to this cannot relate to that. Or can relate to that. Like, oh, yeah, that's happened to me all the time. Because that means, like, bravo for you. You're living a great life. But most people do not have $200 burning in their pocket, so the odds of you being in that situation are rare. So the investing in yourself just keeps putting it off, right? You're like, oh, maybe I'll ask for running shoes for my birthday, but then you're like, I don't know, or whatever, or you're too old for that, or you don't have anyone who's gonna buy you a gift, and it just becomes like it just keeps putting it off until, like you said, it will get to a point where like your shoe will have a hole in it or it will rip. And you're like, well, I guess now I have to buy a running shoe because these are like not runnable anymore. And that's a joke. To do some personal ones for myself. For me, there's a whole bunch of times I did or have invested in myself. The easy one for me is college. And you might think like, College, that's everyone. But for me, it was way more of an investment because I was how old am I, Janet? 30. So I just graduated like 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember. 2 years ago, 2016. So 2 years ago, so that means I was 28.
That's us.
So that means that I didn't go to school right away. So I had to kind of bite the bullet and invest in myself in a big way.
I feel like it's more career than personal, though.
I think it's more intertwined, but okay. But let me just finish this one, and then I'll go into the other.
Quick sidebar: that's a challenge I had when you're like, tell me about something personal that you did. Everything is career because I'm very career.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you mentioned.
So I was like,
oh, it's actually a few more
I'm
personal
like, this is actually just career.
So yeah, so that's one.
You can jump
I'll just start with that one, then I'll go more personal. So yeah, so college for me was, for most people it's not. Like for Janet, it was just part of the transition of growing up. Finish high school, go to college. Now career starts. For me, it was finish high school. Go to work, and then I had to decide I'm gonna actually invest in myself. Even though I'm older now, I was 21 when I decided to go back to school and say, okay, I've made mistakes. I can still fix them. They will take a long time. They took me 6 years to fix, but I'm gonna invest in myself. I'm gonna take out the loans. I'm gonna talk to my parents, and I'm gonna make this happen. So that's a huge one. I guess it's more career than personal. In the comments, let me know, is college career or personal? Some people will say it's personal because you don't have a career. That was pretty good.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
No, I found my career to be very personal. But the reason I liked making the distinction is because career is all about like job and like money and like
personal is the gym, right? I just stopped going to the gym, but when I did invest in the gym, the gym is a good experience. Another one would be let me think of some other personal ones. I decided that, again, this is not a money. It doesn't really have to be money. For me, investment can also just be how you decide to distribute your time or your focus. And recently, I've decided I'm going to start drinking more water. I'm going to cut even though this is 2-drink minimum and we drink 2 drinks at minimum, I'm going to cut less beer out of my life and try to eat less sugary things.
You're going to cut more beer out of your life. You're going to drink less beer.
Thank you.
And cut more beer out of your life.
It's hard for me to even get the mind frame to say those words. But yeah, I'm going to drink a little less, a few days less. Not that it's a problem, but it's just like, well, if you're drinking a lot of beer and you're not drinking as much water, it's just unhealthy, period. So I'm like, okay, let me cut back on a few days,
beer is technically bad for you.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Now, there's like the studies you're more creative with the beer. But that's not...
That's clickbait.
Well, the thing is, you might be more creative, but it doesn't make you more healthy. It just means you are more
exactly. No,
chill, you know?
It's not an argument that if you drink less, it's better for your body. So I'm working on that. The only investment I had to make is I put $10 down on a water bottle. I have been investing in buying some fruits and stuff. It's super early. I'm less than a weekend, but it's an investment I'm making myself. And starting next month, I'm gonna put it as part of the meeting. It will start to become an accountability thing, and I'm monitoring what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, doing those things. That's me investing myself. I'm like, hey, I want to be a little better. I am how old?
30.
I'm 30, so I need to start thinking, hey, I want to outlive everybody. And I need to make sure that I'm putting myself in the best situation to do that. That means drinking more water, eating more fruits. I'm not a little kid. Can I be a rock star and just, drink a couple Cokes and chug some coffee and throw a bunch of Sour Patch Kids in my mouth and grind until the night's over? Yeah, sure, I could do that. But should I? No. Should anyone?
I've never heard the rock star life described as that.
That's the rock star life.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. So yeah, I need to be a little more mature. Hey, eat the apple, drink your water, and get your work done. So I'm working on that. That's me investing in myself. That's personal. Other ways are, investing in yourself. I would just say I'll go out there and say my relationship with my girlfriend. I decided to make an investment of time and I guess money, but it's not that much money. It's more time saying, hey, we don't have what she would consider traditional dates. I'm going to take a sip of my beer first, so. Good stuff. Okay, so she was complaining and mentioning that we haven't had traditional dates in a while. I kind of pushed back a little, but at the end of the day, she's right. A traditional date, the way a random 2 people who haven't met we maybe haven't had as much. So I made a commitment and an investment in that relationship and said, hey, we're going to do that once a month, and we're going to have something. We call it a date. It is a date. We're going to pick the place ahead of time, and even though we live together and stuff, we're going to, you don't got to dress up, but whatever. We're going to go together only and attend this set of events as a date.
So I can't go, is basically
No, you cannot go. You can go to anything else.
We all live together. So
we started doing that. And that was an investment in the relationship saying, okay, I hear you. I need to step it up. I don't have an argument besides, well, we hang out all the time. It's like, that's not an argument. You can't prove, if she says that we're not having dates, I don't have any dates. I have no receipts. I have no dates to be like, hey, look at this. It's like, no, it's like, it's not enough.
It's like, oh, we have to eat to live. So, like, sometimes we're at the restaurant together. It's not a date.
Exactly. It's not a date. It's just us eating at a restaurant.
Yeah, it's just like survival.
So I decided to invest in that, and she has too, because obviously she's going, and sometimes she, we still are pretty, like, equal, so money-wise, I mean, we're not really keeping score, but it's probably about even, because I'll pay for, like, the ticket, and she'll pay for, like, the drinks for stuff, and stuff like that. So we decided, hey, we're going to make it more of a conscious effort to invest in this relationship, so it's not just drifting, on and only extended because, the years are literally adding up. So that's an investment in myself that was personal, that I'm like, okay, I'm going to, grab the bull by the horns, and I'm going to invest in this, and I don't need anyone else to push me anymore. I hear you.
And I think that's interesting to think about, the whole idea of, like, investing in yourself, but, like, through other relationships. I think is, like, a fascinating idea because, like,
our meeting is an investment in ourselves.
That's true. Yeah, and that's a community-based thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's something else that, like, I think people need to be aware of because, like, I'd say to varying degrees, me and Edwin are both probably pretty, like, introverted / like, at home, right? We both do the freelance life now that I joined in, so we, like, a lot of our work is at home. Edwin goes off to teach and stuff, but, like...
Yeah, but all my composing is at home. All my practicing is at home.
Most of his work hours, I would say, are at home.
Yeah. The application
unless you're commuting or something.
Yeah, the application of my work happens outside, but the work to get that result happens in here.
Yeah, so like, I think I do similar things with trying to hang out with my friends, trying to go out on dates. I'm single right now, so, like, trying to, like, make an effort to do those things are definitely an investment in myself and my happiness. I think also another thing I just realized, which it's kind of a mix of time and money. It's mainly time and, like, research and, like, trying things than money at this point for me. But one of my goals for we're in 2018, right? 2018 was to, like, put more effort into my physical appearance and, like, my outward appearance because, like, I was never...
You look beautiful, Janet.
Thank you. I know, right? You're so perfect. Like, the way you are. Like, I hate that stuff. Anyway, the point is, however way you slice it, I didn't really grow up being, like, a quote-unquote girly girl or whatever, and I didn't do any of, like, skincare or hair care or anything at all, really, and I never wore makeup. I still actually don't wear makeup yet because I haven't gotten to that point where I feel like I'm going to add in makeup yet. But that's something I wanted to do, like, for myself. So it meant, like, buying more clothes. It meant, like, trying to figure out, like, what to do with my hair because I don't really style it. So, like, what works for me personally. So then I, like, that means, like, researching products and, like, figuring out stuff and, like, talking to other people, specifically women, but sometimes just people in general that, like, know about that stuff, and then also taking the time. Like, one thing that has been big for me is, like, I've started painting my nails, so they're painted now, actually, because I painted them this weekend. And that takes a while because I'm not good at it, so it takes me a while to, like, paint them and make sure they're dried and everything, and then the polish isn't really that expensive. It's like, I spent, like, $3 on a bottle or something.
Right.
But, like, putting in the time and, like, for me... I definitely have slipped up with this already. I just started, like, a month ago on having my nails painted, but I told myself, I'm like, I'm going to have them always painted now, like, literally always. I'm never not going to have painted nails except for, like, the day that you take them off and then shower and stuff and wait for the old polish to get cleaned off. I remember I did it one week, and then I failed, like, literally the next week, and I was so salty about it. I was like, damn, because just the whole week went by. Like, when I get into my work week, I don't really have the time I don't carve out the time to do it. That's another thing too with the invest in yourself thing. I know for me, I don't know if I actually told you this or not, but, like, I make it a really big habit for myself to try to never say that I don't have time to do something.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me too, because it's not about time.
Yeah.
It's like a weird, I forgot where I read it, but it's like you have to say, I don't want to do X, Y,
kind
Z.
of. Well, once again, it's kind of funny again, the positive framing. I frame it as I didn't, which kind of sounds negative also still. I didn't make time for it, is what I say instead.
I wish how someone worded it. That was really good. It sounded negative too, but it was like, it just means, like, I chose not to do this. Or I think it was like, instead of saying I don't have time to go to the event, say I choose not to, because that's what you're really saying when your friend's like, hey, you want to go to Santa's Village, and you're like, I don't have the time to go this weekend. It's really I choose not to go this weekend, because if I said, hey, let's go to Santa's Village, you'll make $1 million. You'll be like, I'll go to Santa's Village tomorrow. You know,
the way I frame it, and I also heard this just kind of from somewhere, I don't know where I heard it from, but it's like I didn't make the time, so it's like, because then it, like, puts the onus on, like, the person and myself.
Like, the time was there. I just was like, nah.
Yeah, well, we all have time, right? We have whatever time we have. 24
we all have
hours.
the same 24 hours.
Yes.
Despite popular belief.
Yeah. So it's like I didn't make time for it, and that also helps me like be accountable for like what am I really making time for? Like, oh, it's like I didn't. So then that way I can say too, like not just in a shaming way, because I think sometimes you can look at that like, oh, I didn't make time for my friends, I'm a bad person, and you can think of it that way if you.
And you might be.
You might be.
That might be you. You might have just been like, instead of hanging out with my friend, I said I'm gonna lay down and watch Netflix, and you can call it whatever you want. But sometimes a cat's a cat. It's like, yo,
yeah. Well, that doesn't automatically. It doesn't automatically mean you're a bad friend. Actually, I would say unless you like cancels or something or flakes or something like that. It just means that like it's not your priority right now, and like that's okay.
Right.
Like some people I think would say that.
I'm saying it's okay even if you are, just own it, you know.
Well, I'm saying that
the scenario depends. Sometimes you could do that and it could be like, hey, that's no biggie. And sometimes it is like, you were kind of shame.
Well, whether or not you feel
you
shame for it depends on a lot of things.
For sure.
Your personality, the frequency, a lot of stuff. Everyone feels differently about different stuff.
Some people are really selfish and they're like, how could you say that? I was tired. And it's like, well, you were still being a crappy friend. But I mean, I guess if you being tired is more important than hanging out with me.
Flaking is like a different, because we're discussing is flaking on someone. Like I'm exhausted. It wouldn't be like, hey, do you want to hang out on Friday? No, I'm too tired. And like, oh, this guy's a jerk or something. Like I don't think anyone.
Well, it'd be weird to say you're too tired on Tuesday for Friday, even if that's true. You know, yeah.
I know ahead of a time if I have the time, if I want to make the time. Make the time for it. So, for me, some people might look at that as a negative, like, oh wow, like now I feel bad because I didn't make time for my friends or make time for my relationship or whatever. For me, I like to look at it as like almost like a positive. Like it pushes me to realize what I value. So like if I'm realizing I'm not making time for my friends, and like for me personally, I do care about my friendships. So I'm like, wow, I'm not making time for my friends, and I need to do that. So it helps hold me accountable for what I value, and it helps me evaluate what I value. So like when like I don't paint my nails on the weekend, I'm like, I didn't make time for myself. Is what I kind of tell myself, and I'm like, wow, that's really crummy to not make time for yourself. That's bad.
Yeah.
So like for me, it helps me reevaluate what do I value and like and care about. So like sometimes it helps you prioritize and stuff.
Yeah,
so
and sometimes invest
and that's
in
part
yourself,
of the invest in yourself kind of thing.
Yeah, invest in yourself. Just to kind of wrap up the personal one is it doesn't always have to be like I like the nail polish one because it's even though like as a guy who doesn't polish his nails, I can't really relate. I think it's a good thing because it's like a common thing a lot of people can relate to. It doesn't always have to be as big as college. It doesn't have to be, but it can be as small as painting your nails. Because even though it does take some time, it's really not like I don't think it takes 30 minutes, especially if you're fast at it. Is it more than that? The average person, if I googled it, what would it say?
I don't know. Let us know in the comments or add us how long it takes you to paint. For me, honestly, to get them painted and dried.
I'm sure it'll take you long because you're slow at it.
Well, it takes 2 minutes in between coats. But the thing is, so it's like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It might be like half an hour type thing for some people, but the thing is to get it really dried though, because the thing is too like to do for me to do other stuff like work and hang out and get dressed and like shower.
Okay, that's fine.
So that's why it's like
the point I was trying to make is that
it's like a 30 minutes to like hour.
I didn't know. Maybe it is. Okay.
Let me know how long your polish takes to dry.
Even 30 minutes is not long.
For you to do
very few things are less than 30 minutes. You know, if I want to get a burger with someone, that's more than 30 minutes because unless they're literally right next to me, I'm gonna have to meet them up.
So you go too quick at chips, and then you gotta reapply it, and then you gotta wait again.
I'm fascinated. So, but what I liked about it is it's a simple thing, right? Sometimes invest in yourself simple. I remember one week in school when I was just really like grinding so hard. My goal that week was like I just want to eat at a restaurant like a human being because I've just been like zigzagging from school, practicing this band rehearsal. That I'm just circling the drain here. And I haven't actually sat down and ate like a normal human normally does, and it's really unhealthy, and that's really sick right now. So I think I might even cut my first class. I can't remember, but I know it was the middle of the day. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna sit down at Stacks, which is a restaurant in Tri-Taylor. Shout out to Stacks. Give us some sponsorship. We'll put a little thing right here. And I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here. I sat by myself because it's the middle of the day, so who could meet with me? It was like 10, 11 a.m. And I had a meal, and I'm like, this is literally my goal for the day. It's my accomplishment for the day, and I'm sitting down like a normal human. It's undebatable that, like the average healthy human will just sit down and eat a meal at a restaurant. And I ate it. Sometimes that's investing in yourself. I said, no, I'm investing in myself. I cut the class, I paid the money, and I'm getting better. I know this is what I need, because if I already set it in my head, it's probably actually been what I needed like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And that's my investment in myself. That was my investment in myself at the moment. Janet's was polishing her nails. Something investing in yourself can be something small, like I need to take a walk. I need to take a step out. I need to just, refresh here. I need to, have some kind of gap.
I feel like invest in yourself, like the general theme, and in career will fit into this too.
We're going to,
which we'll get into next.
Career,
but I think kind of just like what I'm hearing from you and what you kind of reiterated from what I said is it's what do you need to be your best self, and sometimes that's why it's personal and career. Sometimes it's like you need to walk, or you need to move more, you need to go to yoga, you need to get a new shirt, your jacket is ripped up, or you need to, like, what do you need to be your best self, your ultimate self, that you can obviously realistically do, because there's some things that are outside your will, right? It's like, oh, I need $1 million to, like, whatever, buy a house or something, but, like, what do you need? What are the small things you need, realistic things you need to be your best self, to optimize what you have? And that's what investing in yourself is really about. So then career-wise, for
career,
that,
yeah. So
we have like a cajillion of those things.
What's investing in yourself, in your career, mean to you, Janet? You're a video game journalist. You're a content creator, as the millennials say, even though I'm a millennial. But I'm barely millennial because I am 30. That's
Are you really
right.
barely a millennial because of that? Look up what a millennial is.
It's like some cheap... They made it up. It's all made up.
Everything's made up. It's words. The words are all made up.
But so no one knows. That's why you gotta look it up. So that's why it's all phony.
That's just because you need to look something up doesn't mean it's not real. It just means you don't know it.
A young adult in the early 21st century.
No, but what's the year? Look up years that you're born.
It says... do you trust Wikipedia for this?
Yes. If I hear it and I feel like it's...
Millennials are the generational demographic cohort following Generation X. I thought it was Generation X. That's what I heard.
But what's the years? Where are the years?
These are the precise dates for when this cohort starts or ends. Demographers and researchers typically use the early 1980s and starting birth years and the mid-1990s to early 2000s as the ending birth years.
Okay, so stop. So then, yeah, I mean, you're a millennial.
Yeah, because I'm 88.
You're 88, you're late 80s. You're actually
I was growing up, all I heard was Gen X. I didn't hear the word millennial until...
Well, they came up with it later.
I heard the word millennial until 2003 or something.
Well, once again, language, it's it develops, I'm not sure, though, generally, if they have for age.
I literally was, growing up hearing just Generation X.
But for age demographics?
WWE, D-Generation X. We were all doing the X. Is that a lie? Why wasn't I doing the M?
I don't know. I'm not sure if they actually have to, for generations, if they have, a set, a generation is this many years.
It don't matter. I still consider myself millennial.
But the point is...
I think I am, by definition, I guess. Also, who defined that? Who has the right to tell me what I am? When it comes to a millennial, degeneration, baby boom, grandpa boom, who's making it fine? I'm part of the Chernobyl age. It's 1988, and it was awesome, and I'm going to put it up on Wikipedia, and if we can get, 3 historians and 3 million likes, it's agreed. It's just so silly. You know what I am? I'm a Hispanic. In my opinion, no argument. I'm a male. I identify as one. Everything adds up. The millennial, baby boomer, degeneration, who cares even? What the heck who made this up?
I don't know, but you're the one that brought up...
to authorize it.
You're the one that brought up that I was millennial.
You know? What the heck?
I don't know,
no,
but
I
you
said
brought
I
it
am
up.
a millennial.
Yeah, but you said that you're less of a millennial.
Why do I have to be a...
But also, why even bring it up then?
Who told me that I was a millennial and who made up the word and said that? That's what I'm saying. I want to know who the higher powers are deciding these things.
I don't know. I can't answer that. But what I can answer... is how I invested myself with my career. So as a video game journalist and content creator, it means a bunch of stuff. So honestly, I've been really bad at investing in my career for a really long time. I feel like now I'm getting better at it. I'm still not great because for a long time, my career, which is, freelance games journalism, was something that I wanted to get into, but hadn't started yet. So I had this idea to be a freelance games journalist a few years ago. And then I was just kind of let me do some other stuff. First, let me teach, because my main degrees are in English and secondary education, so I had teaching cert. So
your degrees, main degree would be there would be a secondary degree.
Oh yeah, my 2 degrees.
Yeah, your degrees
my 2
were
degrees
on English and...
even though I put up 4 numbers there. My 2 degrees...
Math is hard.
My 2 degrees were English and secondary education, so for that reason, I'm let me do teaching first. So for a while, what I wanted eventually to be my full-time career, which now it is, was more of a... future career / passion project. So for that reason, it was kind of hard to invest money in it. And then also I didn't have a job at first because I was still in college, and I was lucky enough not to have a part-time or full-time regular job to go to school. So that being said, it took me a while to want to invest money in what I kind of felt was a project at first, or wasn't really my full-time job yet. And even now, since I'm getting paid a lot, it's kind of hard to invest the money. But the first things that kind of happened to me were other people kind of investing in me, and then that kind of made me
what other people invested in you?
Yeah, so that helped me push to invest in myself. So I started a YouTube channel with my friend Jess called Bit, And one of her friends gave her the microphone we're using now. It's a Blue Snowball microphone. And that was them investing in our channel because they were like, well, honestly, he was like, oh my God, the audio on your thing is so bad. Let me say this mic, he had like an extra one, or was nice enough to give one. I don't really remember the story of that. And I just kind of kept it because I was the main person that did the editing and the recording and all that. So that's why I have it in my possession now. And then one of my editors for a website I wrote for gave me the webcam I have now. I think it was also to support my channel. I don't remember if it was like separate. But yeah, Eric from Big Cultures gave me the webcam we're using. And then my current editor for Nerd Much, Bobby, gave me the lighting that we have. He's like, if I give you lighting, will you use it to make videos for us and stuff? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I need lighting so bad. And honestly, none of those things, no shade to them, none of those things were crazy expensive. They were all definitely under $100. Like, some of them may have been 50 or like maybe, yeah, around 50, maybe 50 to 100.
The Blue Snowball thing's like around the 30 range, but yeah.
Yeah, it might actually be 30 or 50. Like, it's not that expensive.
Same with the camera.
The point is, none of it is that expensive, but I just didn't buy it all myself. And like, now that I like see the improvements, it like makes me more so want to make more upgrades. The last thing I invested in myself with for my career was buying PSVR, I think. It's kind of interesting because my career also originally was just a hobby, so it kind of like has this double work, but I think that's the kind of the point, right? Like, you should have like, and that, you know, it's kind of a large topic, but a career that like that you like and that you're interested in. So for me, like, it's like a win-win to get like PlayStation VR because now I can review more games for work. I can also like enjoy it because I still do like video games, even though I do it for a living, and it is definitely very much work. So yeah, it's like those elements. Other things, ways I invest in myself were, yeah, it takes other people sometimes pushing you. So like, even with the, I want to go to a convention to meet more people. And I've been wanting to do that for a long time. I've thought about it a lot. And I mentioned that there was like the Midwest Gaming Classic coming up. But that, like, I don't have a car and I don't know how to drive. So, and I'm also, I don't know if I'm old enough to rent a car without.
No, you have to be 20. Well, you're 20. Yeah, 24. I think you just turned old enough.
I'm either just old enough or a year shy.
But it doesn't matter because you can't drive. So it's the same as flying.
But the point is, like, yeah, I was flying a plane, right?
I mean, you couldn't fly a plane, you couldn't drive a car. Yeah. So, I mean, what's the difference?
So, the point is, like, there wasn't a way for me to do that. But at least I can learn to drive. I don't think I could. I mean, I can learn to fly a plane, but it would take a lot more money. I don't know anyone who knows how to fly. You know, it's like, yeah, it's harder. It's harder. The point is, I didn't have a way.
Things you can't do.
I didn't feel like I had a way to do it. But I mentioned in passing to Ed when this convention was coming up, and he's like, well, where was it at? And I was like, and it actually was not too far.
That's
it was
like not how it went.
Oh,
that's not how it went down. We were in this very room. You were about to go to bed. And you were like, some people mentioned it to you on whether it was Facebook, Twitter.
Nintendo's our main podcast.
I think Nintendo made me, but whatever. That's why I said someone because I wasn't sure who it was. They mentioned it to you like, oh, I'm going. Are you going? And then you mentioned it to me. And then the way speaking about, episode 0, you talked about I was negative. You were negative. You were like, oh, so-and-so said it, but I can't go this year because I don't have a car and blah, blah, blah. So, like, you kind of framed it as in, like, they told me about this conference, but I can't go. That's kind of a shame. But next year, I will go. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Where is it at? And then you're like, Milwaukee. And I'm like, that's not far. When is it? And he said, I'm like, that's also, like, far enough where, wait, why can't you go? And you're like, well, I don't have a car.
Well, that's what I meant I brought it up to you. I wasn't trying to say I brought it up I should go, but I mentioned it.
You brought it up as a negative, like, oh, I missed this opportunity already. It sucked.
Yeah, I didn't think I could go. I didn't think I could go. And then everyone's like, you can't go.
It to me. You didn't even ask me, like...
No, I didn't ask you at all. I wasn't going to say I was going to ask you, no.
You were like, I can't do this, check it out. And I'm like, well, why can't you do this?
I was like, this exists, but I'm not going to go because I can't go. And then Edwin was like, yeah, you could go. And like, me and Edwin have like lived together and like worked together to different capacities and like collaborate on things, whether it's like, just like existing, like literally.
We collab on the rent every month.
Yeah, we collab on the rent.
So far we're like, I don't know, 30 for 30 or whatever.
It's pretty good.
But never lost.
But that being said, I say this to say that I've asked Edwin for plenty of things, and he's delivered on plenty of things. So we actually do have a relationship where I do feel like comfortable asking. So it wasn't like I didn't want to ask.
Can you slow down? Because I want to clip that and put it in my voice notes for myself as motivation.
Yeah, I mean it's true, but I'm saying that to say that like. I think some people or a lot of people don't feel comfortable asking for like favors or things that involve.
The thing is, you didn't even ask me for a favor.
No, but that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is,
next level.
I didn't. I did not ask you because I didn't think I was. I just didn't even think about it is a possibility.
Yeah.
It wasn't because I felt like, oh, I don't want to ask Edwin. I didn't even think to ask you. I just didn't think to ask you. Because if I did, I maybe would have, because then we can go. Like when another convention came up, I mentioned, hey, can we go? Because I knew we kind of had that thing established
already.
Should
I go, or should it be something you kind of you tossed it? That one even you didn't toss it in a negative anymore because you've won. That was when you were still. I think at that point you already decided that you were gonna do this forever.
It was a few weeks ago, yeah. So I'm like,
no, it was a few months ago.
No, it was a few weeks ago.
I'm talking about Midwest Gaming Classic.
Oh, I'm talking about Missouri Gamescom now.
Midwest Gaming Classic. You meant MGC. You said you mentioned that. When you were talking about it, I think at that point, I don't know, I have it all written down. I think at that point you already decided, hey, I'm going to do this for sure full time in the summer. I'm not sure, but I think you already were at that mindset. So it was kind of like, hey, I can't do this. When you asked me about Missouri Gamescom, which we'll be attending, both of us, I guess. I'm going as a fan. Jan's going, I'm just a journalist. She always goes as a journalist because that's who she is. When you mentioned that one, it was much more positive. It was just like, what do you think? When before for Midwest, it was like, I can't do this. Kind of sucks, but next year.
Yeah.
And this now went from that to like, hey, yay or nay, and I'm like, yay. And it's like, okay, cool, let's do it.
Right.
Instead of like, oh, I can't do this.
So
year,
sometimes it takes,
blah, blah.
as far as my career, like I'm now starting to really like see the value in investing in myself and really trying to push myself to do that. But sometimes I think it takes other people investing in you and seeing like ways that they can. That, like, once again, not for too much money or time. Like, a lot of times it's not that big of a deal.
Speak for yourself. The 5-hour drive.
Yeah.
Only a person who doesn't drive would say a 5-hour drive was not too much.
I didn't say. I wasn't referring to that. I was referring in general, like with the.
Well, that's where my head went immediately. I'm like.
Well, the first place we went to was Milwaukee, and that was not a 5-hour drive.
Right. No, that was a fun drive. It was 2 hours, but
yeah.
But it was probably 4 for me, so because no one else drove.
But I mean, like other people getting involved. So, like sometimes it takes that to make you realize that, like, oh, it's actually not that deep. I can do that. I should be doing that. Other people like see
the funny thing about investing
the value
in
me, and now I kind of see the value in myself, and that I should be doing that. If other people were doing that for me, like I should be doing that for myself.
Yeah, the funny thing about investing in yourself, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't have to be that big, but the impact is probably way bigger than, like, let's say paying your rent. Paying your rent just means, I mean, you have to do it. I'm not trying to tell anyone not to do it. I have to do it every month too, and it's not the funnest thing. But it's just literally just keeping the game going. It's like, hey, do you want to live here again? It's like, yes, and you pay it. Right? Just not much investment. I don't feel good when I pay it. I don't feel fulfilled. I just have to do it, so I do it. But it's funny, you can spend $100 on yourself, and that, like, if it's spent the right way, it's just so much more rewarding. The money, what you get back is like 10x what, paying for the rent does. I mean, I do get a little bit of, hey, like, I'm getting my stuff done, but really not. I'm just like, man, now I'm so broke because my rent's high, and I just hate it. So at least I paid it, but, like, that's why I'm, not able to do anything else today. So the investment in yourself, even though it might be painful because you're like, this is unnecessary, and that's what it feels like, because even though some people would say people are very selfish, we're actually not very selfish in my opinion, because we prioritize, especially in the capitalist world, everything else that's necessary, because what being an adult is, right? So we punt our own stuff, whether it's our self-care, our dates with our girlfriends that we've had for a long time, dates with our boyfriends that we had for a long time. That's always like, oh, they understand. We're busy. We got to do this stuff. This doesn't... We'll get to this later, right? So it's easy to ignore it. But actually, if you just take the time and put the investment in and actually do it, kind of like exercising, which is another investment in yourself, it's so much more rewarding. You're like, wow, that was really great. And that's what those conferences were for you. And for me, it's the same thing. Talking about my career, obviously, I've mentioned before in episode 0, I'm a musician. It's 100% what I spend my time on. There's literally nothing else. I'm either teaching, composing, practicing, playing outside. Not outside, but like playing outside with people and like, recording albums and stuff like that. That's all I do. So all my time is based on that. There's nothing else. And yeah, investing in myself is the same thing, right? Because it's like, you want to make sure that even though I've invested in myself in the ultimate way, when we debated about whether college was career or personal, I invested. That's what I went to school for. I went to school to be a jazz musician, and that's what I am. So it's weird to be like, I know you spent like, 30, 40K or whatever, but hey, spend this other $20 on this course or a book or whatever. And that's annoying, but it's true. You have to keep investing in yourself. We're not finished products. I don't care if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. If you're 80 or 90, you can talk to me. I can probably get convinced that you're a finished product. But other than that, honestly, you can't, because you should be growing and developing, and that means learning new things, and especially like in the internet age, things move so much faster. You need to stay on top of whatever your thing is in your career. There isn't a career that isn't being affected by the internet, that isn't being affected by the millennials positively or negatively. So you need to be up to date with it. For example, some things I've done since I've graduated is I read this music law book that my friend Al let me borrow. I read everything from front to back. I learned a bunch. I bought some like motivational and like internet strategy stuff, like some Gary Vee books. I'm a big proponent of Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a phenomenal motivator and a very intelligent person.
Also, anyone else that likes Gary Vee, because I've met a lot of different like content creators and like people with like entrepreneur mindset or whatever, and YouTubers in general, and like it's like crazy when you meet someone else as a Gary Vee fan because you have like that instant like.
Yeah, this guy
you know what's up, like, or at least even if you don't do it, you like know what's up. Though.
Yeah, you know
it's,
what's
like,
up
weird.
if you're not doing it. Yeah, exactly.
It's like a weird club.
Gary Vee's cool. Investing in his book, investing in my own. I bought Ari Herstand's How to Make It the New Music Business. I'm almost done with it. I'm like the last 2 chapters in. I'll knock it out this week. That's been an amazing book. So investing in books. Other ways to invest in your career, just generically.
Getting business cards.
Yeah, business cards, website. Invest in yourself. Other ways you can invest in yourself, or I've invested in myself, is podcasts. CD Baby has a great musicians podcast. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna open up my podcast app here. This is like the 3rd time in this episode alone I've looked up stuff on my phone. So I think I'm just gonna be the phone guy for the podcast. I think that makes a lot of sense. So here's a few other ones that I listened to on the music publishing podcast. The jazz sessions, that's kind of just a fun one. I love jazz, so when they do jazz conversations, it's great. Song Exploder, it's just, again, great podcast. It's fun. The ones that I invest in myself, though, Music Biz Weekly, The Portfolio Composer. Those are the business ones that I listen to that kind of get into nitty gritty. They go into certain topics and they talk about it in depth. Get people in the know of, hey, this is what's happening in the music business that you need to know about. Because my career is still a business, even if it's, a fun and awesome one. Hey, at the end of the day, the landlord needs the money and I need to bring it to him, and I bring it to him with music. So how can I monetize it so I can do that? That's just the truth, whether you think that's sad or whatever. That's just the reality. So I have to know the best ways to maximize myself, and those podcasts help keep me sharp. I can't just say, oh, I went to school, I'm done. You're not done. You got to keep doing other things. You got to keep learning things. The world's changing. You got to get sharp. You got to be educated. And no one cares that I went to college anyway, so I need to make sure that I'm staying on top of my game so I can better myself. So for those of you who went to college or didn't go to college or feel like you just know it all, I would challenge you, prove it. Go buy a book. Go listen to some podcasts. And if all you're hearing is stuff that you already know, okay, I guess I can at least understand the argument of, okay, maybe you are that great, but you're probably not. You're probably not that great, and you'll hear some stuff like, oh, I didn't think about that, and that's a good thing because then you'll get better knowledge, and you're investing in yourself, and you're gonna better yourself in your career. So I think you have to keep doing those things. And people always complain about money. I understand. I'm not paying it, so I can't really necessarily pay for everyone's books and stuff, but hey, podcasts are free, YouTube channels are free. Yeah, the library obviously is
working
probably
out
funded.
is also free.
Yeah, exactly. So there are other ways. If you don't want to buy those books that I mentioned earlier, you don't want to buy the music law book, you don't want to buy the Ari Herstand book, hey, you can listen to the Music Biz Weekly, you can listen to Portfolio Composer, you can listen to Song Exploder. Those are free. You have access to them. If you're having trouble getting access to them, let me know. I can probably find a way for you to get it. And better yourself if you're a musician. If you're something else, whatever it is, if you're a physical trainer, if you're a doctor, obviously for doctor, I'm sure it gets really heavy, but I'm sure there is a doctor out there. If there isn't, there should be one, a doctor out there doing a podcast talking about the betterment of stuff and stuff. That would be a great podcast, I'm sure. So invest in yourself in different ways. When it comes to your career, you need to invest in yourself with your education. You need to invest in yourself in your education outside of the traditional schools. We'll have a college one, I'm sure, at some point later on. But yeah, there's people with great books, great podcasts, seminars, meet people. That's the number one thing I would say. Invest in yourself, meet people. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. I'm not even going to name names. You are not as good as you think you are. You are not the best at what you do. I'm not the best. I'll just go with myself. I'm not the best at what I do. That's fine. I think I'm really, really, really good, and I'm working really, really hard to get better. But if I had to say I'm the best jazz piano player to ever exist, it would literally be a lie.
I think on that note, it's kind of like there are people that you can learn from, because I think you can actually know where you are, because I feel like, and like, I honestly feel like I know where my skill level is, but, like, that doesn't mean that I don't benefit from community. Like, you know absolutely. That you're, like, at this level doesn't mean that you won't benefit from meeting people that are lower and above you.
There's a reason why the big city, people hate big cities, but there's a reason why big cities exist. Big cities don't exist because that place is dope. The reason that place is dope is because the people in there are so dope, and there's so many. That's what makes California great. That's what makes New York great. That's what makes Chicago great. Chicago is not great because it's a great place to live. It's not. It's very expensive. It's tightly packed. We invented skyscrapers because we don't have the space, so we just built on top of each other. It's either very, very hot or it's very, very cold. The reason Chicago is great is because there are millions of creative people creating creative things, and you feed off of that energy. You feed off each other. Even if you're the better one, you're still seeing that idea. You're like, oh, I like some of that, not all of that. I can make that better. And then you take it and you do it and you riff on each other. That's what makes those big cities great. We need people. We need community. Invest in yourself. Go to events. Go to people. That's why those conferences, that conference that you went to, we don't gotta, go into the X's and O's of your career. I'm still seeing the fruits of the labor from that conference a week ago. I'm still seeing you talk about, oh, so-and-so from so-and-so DM me, so-and-so just like that video, so-and-so, the views from that video are still so high. People have mentioned me from XYZ. Mm-hmm. That's off the Midwest Gaming Classic. Most people don't know what that is. That's a very small conference. What's going to happen when you go to Germany next year? What's going to happen when you go to E3? What's going to happen? You're just continuing to invest in yourself, and you're growing more and more from the community. And again, not from a selfish standpoint, from a, hey, I'm just here to be part of the group, and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And you're getting so much benefit from that result of just saying, hey, or just from like a collaborative effort, right? Like I said, hey, I invested in you, whether that was monetarily or just time. Hey, I'm taking the time, the day off. I'm driving you up there. We're all going, and then you did it, And investing in yourself that way is just so powerful. And everyone has that in whatever their career is. For me, it's not necessarily conferences yet, even though I did do CD Baby, and that was very good because it opened my eyes to things that I need to do in my career. Right? It's like, oh, reality check. These are the things you're missing. You don't have this together. You don't have that together. Get it together. And I'm still getting some of those things together. I got my own list, So those conferences and those kinds of investments are really powerful for people. And whatever your career is, again, we don't know who's listening to this, but I'm sure there's something like that. There's either a conference you need to be attending or should be attending, and it deep down inside, and you're like, oh yeah, everyone I work with is at South by Southwest. Or everyone I work with is at Silicon Valley for this one conference, Or it's books that that people in your industry are reading. Or it's podcasts that you hear about at work, or you hear about in the office, you hear about like from other people around you, and you're like, oh yeah, I need to listen to this. I need to read this. Try to bite the bullet and stop being a person who says I need to, and just invest in yourself and do it so you can be like, oh, I'm not going to say I need to go to Midwest Gaming Classic. I'm going. You're not going to say, like for me, I need to read that Ari Herstand book. You're going to buy it and start reading it and start investing in yourself, because at the end of the day, it's in your best interest to invest in yourself and better yourself, because you are financially and personally 100% invested in yourself, so you need to do it.
Yeah, or it can be like, once again, like equipment that you need, or it can be like stuff that you could just use to do whatever you want to do. So like, we didn't talk too much about this, but like it could be like hobbies that you have, like, buy yourself like a pack of colored pencils, or like a planner, or like
more
wash
of a personal
tape,
thing,
or like,
still,
so whatever that
personal
looks like.
And career are always connected, even if
the big thing that I feel like just kind of like start closing things out is ask yourself, like, in a somewhat realistic way, and by somewhat realistic, I don't mean to like diminish people's dreams, because I don't think that's a good thing to do, but what I mean by somewhat realistic is I don't want people to say like, oh, I want to be like a cajillionaire and go to the Met Gala. Like, I would love to go to the Met Gala. Like, it's one of my secret dreams, but I know I'm not going to be able to go with the career I'm doing.
Here's a very clear one for me.
You know what I mean?
I'm going to build a home studio in October once the summer's over and all that. And the home studio I want and the home studio I'm going to get are vastly different.
Yeah.
The home studio I want would be, perfect, would be all Mac equipment, would be Fruity Loops, Cubase, Sibelius, Pro Tools. It would be like a $10,000 studio at minimum, and that is not what I'll be buying. I'll be buying a computer that's within my budget. I'll pick one of those, recording programs instead of all three. I'm going to pick what I want. So that's what I mean, like you said, not to diminish people's goals. That's my goal. That would be like ideally, my ideal situation. It would be a private room in my home where I would have $10,000 worth of equipment and I'd be good to go. I cannot do that by October for sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a computer that's for recording, for editing. I'm going to get a couple of the programs that I pick. Hey, these are the main ones. I'm going to use these. and I'm going to invest in that. And it's still going to be a big investment for me, and it's still going to be a big sacrifice. Yeah. But it will be within the range of what I can do.
Well, sometimes what I do for stuff like that, and it's kind of almost getting to a new topic, so I'll try to keep it brief, but like it's really just like, what's your ideal self? Like your realistic ideal self? And by that I mean, like, once again, like, I would love to go to the Met Gala, but I looked it up and I will never be able to go because it's like $1 kajillion. So, you know, like, so I scrapped that away, right? But even if I think of my big picture dream self, which for me would be like working at like a giant place like IGN, what I do is I think that, and then I scale back in steps, and then so I start working towards the next level up from where I currently am. Yeah. So, like, do that for yourself and ask yourself, you know, what does my ideal self look like? And maybe that looks like you can, you know, lift a certain amount of weights. Maybe you're working out a certain amount of times. Maybe you weigh a certain amount. Maybe you are going out a certain amount of times. Maybe you're meeting new people. Maybe you're doing something at work specifically.
I got a quick...
whatever it is. Yeah. So, like, ask yourself, what is your ideal self? And what can you do to help yourself reach that? Whether that's time or money. Like, what do you need to get to that ideal self? And then start, like, investing time into that. Yeah, and that'd be the big question that I'd throw out there for you guys.
Well, actually, another thing I want to mention, and it's funny because me and Jen argued about definition, but I actually looked up the definition for invest here because I think it's important when I start thinking about it. Because I think the problem with investing yourself is the word invest. People say, oh, you know, Edwin, I can't buy that laptop until I am at a certain level that is literally not reachable at this point.
My computer is a big way I invest in myself. I didn't think to say that.
Yeah, exactly. So here, let me read for you the definition. Expand money with the expectation of achieving a profit or material result by putting into financial schemes, shares, or property by using it to develop a commercial venture. Yeah. So, no, let me finish. So, to wrap it up there with that idea is that when you invest in yourself, when it's the just getting the burger, just getting the nail polish, it's very white and black. It's black and white, right? It's like, I need to be a normal human. Let me eat. I need to take care of myself. Let me, you know, get the nails done. When we're talking about investing in yourself for your career, you also have to invest in something that you actually don't know if the result will be positive. Janet bought a laptop, bought a computer that was thousands of dollars when she wasn't making even making that in the job that she was investing it for. That's a huge risk that many people won't take. And they have to take it. You have to make that jump. You have to be a professional in your career before you are a professional in your career. I remember when I bought my first like big whatever adult piano. It was like, you know, $600. I did not make even $1 off playing my instrument in any way imaginable. Well, I didn't make $1, but I knew I needed a real piano that I want is going to be $600. I gotta pay it. Suck it up, pay it. If I believe in myself, you have to invest in yourself, right? Do you think when you look at the big companies, Janet, like when you think of like Nike, and they spent like, you know, I'm just making up a number, but they spent like $500 million on a production. It's not that they don't have that money. It's that they expect, hey, in 10 years, I'm going to make all of this back and then some.
But I think that does still apply to the personal, even though like it applies more aptly to career because it has to do with money. But even with the personal stuff, it's like the reason I'm like painting my nails is so I feel good about myself, so I have like confidence, so I like can approach like social and just various situations feeling like, yeah, I like if I have this together, like for me, like, and that's kind of why I started pushing towards my physical appearance besides like some level of ego. It's like, let me like show the world like a very positive, like the highest version of my outward self so that I can go about my life and like achieve at that level, whether that's like in interpersonal relationships, whether it's in career. So I feel like even obviously career is the most obvious with investment because it has to do with money, but even in personal wise, like we don't just work out to stay, like you're working out to stay healthy, to like, you know, you're investing in like the long term. So I think even with the personal, it is an idea of investment of like, you're doing this now because it's going to pay you dividends later. Right. And, you know, maybe that's happiness. Maybe that's dating. Maybe that's confidence. Maybe it's whatever, you know?
Some people push back on that when it comes to career, not in personal, because I think it's hard to push back on that in personal, but it's easy to push back in a career because people are like, oh, Edwin, I'm not doing gigs like that. Yeah. I'm going to get the, you know, I'm gonna spend the $2,000-$3,000 when I'm making way more than that in music. I'm like, the reason you're not making that much in music is because you don't have the tools to make that much in music. So you have to invest in it prior. It's like, how can you open a restaurant? When you open a restaurant up, I think we can all agree, all you're doing is throwing money in. You need to buy the place, you need to lease the place, you need to buy the equipment. You don't actually sell your first burger until months after you spent thousands and thousands of dollars. But it's okay because that's the cost of starting a business.
Right.
And day one, you're going to start making that back. And hopefully in a couple years, you're still around and you're making it back. And I think especially for us in like freelance and other creative stuff, we always make up this imaginary like, oh, I'm not going to buy those books until, I make enough money to buy the books. Or I'm not going to do this until that. And I'm telling you right now, stop it. Don't do that. You need to invest in yourself as soon as you can. Obviously, if you do it like, well, I don't have $1,000, I have no way to get it. Okay, I get that part. Start saving up, start working on it, see if you can get a credit card, get help from someone, whatever you need to do, but start making a plan. But do not tell me, or do not come to me and say, oh, I can't do that until I get this, because it doesn't work that way. You need to start doing things in a professional manner, and then move on. Again, that's more of a career freelance thing for someone who has like a traditional career, like if you're a lawyer or something. You don't have to think about any of that because once you were a lawyer and you got a job as a lawyer, you are a lawyer. But especially for, you're a video games journalist, I'm a musician. Those careers, there isn't a make it time.
Right.
I guess the make it time is when you're only doing it as your only... I guess the only time it's a make it time is when you literally are, that's the only thing you do, which is both of us now. So technically, by that definition, we have made it. There's no other way to describe what you and I do besides our jobs. It's like, you can't argue anything else. I'm a musician. I only make my money based on music. There is no other income you can point to because there is no other income, and you're the same way with video games journalism. It's all just that. So for those of you who are maybe right before that, just bite the bullet and invest in yourself, because if you don't, you're not going to get there. That's the funny part of it. You'll never get there because you don't have the tools to get there.
Yeah.
You can't build a house without the tools to build a house. You can't say, oh, I need the money that the house will get me to buy the tools to build a house. Yeah. It's not going to happen that way. So investing in yourself, investing always has a risk, because the risk is, I'll crap out. Like I'll buy a $2,000 computer and spend another $1,000 on my recording work, and I'll never make a dime from it. That's a risk you have to take. The question is, do you believe in yourself? And if you believe in yourself, it's really not that long term of a risk. Yeah. Obviously, if you have some self-esteem issues, it's a problem, but you still need to make the investment. That's just it. You have to invest in yourself. It's important. And if you don't, you won't get better. And I think we can both agree on that, whether it's personal or career. If you decide, no, I'm not going to invest in myself, forget that. I'm just going to keep paying my bills, and I'm not going to get my nail polish done. I'm not going to read books about my career. I'm not going to try to better my relationship. I mean, nothing but bad will come from
you just have to decide, like, what do you want, and then, like, go for that. No matter what that means. And that could mean different things in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of whatever. Like,
and it's interesting, the property
what do you actually want, and are you actually working towards that? Are you really investing in yourself and putting in the time or money that you need to make that happen into a reality, and not just something that because or else you end up being in a very disempowered place where you say, like, yeah, I wish this could happen, but that's not my reality. Like, you're which sounds kind of like crazy or something, but like, your reality is whatever you make it to be. Like, you're in charge of your own reality. So like, sometimes it's harder for some of us, or it takes longer, or you need extra whatever, but like, just put the money aside if it's a money thing, if it's a time thing, like, reach out to the people in your circle, which are hopefully people that do support you and want to see you do well and are positive and good influences in your life, and like, have them like help you either emotionally, monetarily, like whatever it means to, like, or even just accountability wise, like having someone know that, like, what you want to do and push you to do that thing.
Yeah. So another thing that reminds me of that is like it's a super basic example, but the Property Brothers kind of mentioned it really well on I think it was like a Chase ad they were doing. So it's like super like, why are you like promoting this Chase ad by the Property Brothers? But they mentioned that when it comes to creating their dream home, what they usually tell people is just paint me your dream home. Yeah. Don't limit it. If you want 3 jacuzzis, tell me. Let's draw it up, and then we'll bring it down to, okay, that's what you want, but right now this is what you can afford, and we'll start taking out the things that aren't a necessity. I think too many people start at the safe home and don't build out. Tell me what you want your ideal house set up to be. Even if it's stupid, and then we'll listen to, okay, well, we can't afford that, and then we'll get to the core of what you really want, and we'll get that. If you start already at the low, then we're just going to cut from there, and it's going to get super low, and it won't even be what you need.
So, wrapping it up, at the end of the day, I would say my last thing I want to mention, I mentioned it a couple times already, but ask yourself, who is your ideal self? Be it personal, be it career, be it both, and then what do you need to accomplish that in terms of time and money? And, the classic saying is, if you don't have the time, then, invest the money. If you don't have the money, invest the time. So maybe, like, you pick one of those things to focus on, and then just kind of pour yourself into that. so that you can make that happen. And then, that'll be better for you ultimately, and it'll take some additional effort, but it'll be worth it in the long term.
Yeah,
what are your last second thoughts on investing in yourself?
I pretty much just want to wrap it up here. The one thing I would say is, how do you invest in yourself? How have you invested in yourself? And in what ways have you not invested in yourself? I'm going to hold myself accountable. I've been saying that I wanted to join CDBA Pro. Spoilers.
Yes, oh my God,
for the
so
meeting.
much.
Spoilers for the meeting. I
So
also
much.
will not be having it done this month. I'm gonna have to wait till October because we have some other financial stuff that we need to work out. But that's something I need to do. So we all have stuff. I'm not. Again, I don't ever want to show myself off as a finished product. I'm not. I still have a lot of things to work on. I need to get that CDBA Pro done. I need to take some Coursera courses on a couple of audio production things. Not big things that I've been putting off, but just it's on my list. There are things that I need to invest in myself that I know I need to invest in myself in, and I haven't yet. So those are mine. Tell me yours. Tell me the ways that you've already invested in yourself. Tell me the ways that you haven't, and you should, and maybe we can hold you accountable, just like you guys can hold me accountable in a couple months and ask me, did you ever join CDBA Pro? Because you need to. So, yeah, that's my call to action to everyone. Tell me ways that you have invested in yourself and in ways you need to invest in yourself.
Totally. And on that note, you guys can find us at E&J 2 Drink Men on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And that's letter E, letter N, letter J, number 2, Drink Men, across the board. You guys can check us out on YouTube or on podcast services. And we will see you guys here next time. Bye.